Hello, it's Jeanette with Amazing Paper Crafts. Thank you for joining me once again for another video tutorial. Today I actually have a remake, or kind of like an updated version of a box I did about 6 months ago maybe, and I called it my 6-pack Hershey tote box. And I made it just a little bit different this time, using some updated products that we have at Stampin' Up, and I kind of just recreated the design slightly by putting a window here and making this a closed box on both sides here. So when you open it up, you're going to see that I actually have 2 flaps here that are holding 6 Hershey Nuggets. Can you see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So I'm going to show you how easy this is to put together. The measurements are similar to the one I did about 6 months ago. But like I said, I've updated a little bit of how I designed it and how I put it together. And of course, the DSP that I'm using. So this one, the DSP on the front, I am using a DSP stack that's called a Little Foxy Designer Series paper stack. Has some gorgeous designs. That gray neutral is just lovely. I absolutely love that smoky slate that's in here. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and use this, another piece of this paper. I'm going to do it a little bit differently because you know that's what I do. But I am going to be choosing a different DSP, a design from that DSP stack. Okay, so let's get started. Enough talking. All right, what you're going to need is a piece of cardstock that measures 10.5 inches by 4 inches. 10.5 by 4, okay? And then I'm going to bring in my Simply Scored scoring tool. There's no dust bunnies on it. Okay. Now I am going to start scoring this on one side, and I'm going to go at the 1/2 inch mark on the long side. You're going to go 1/2 inch and then 1 inch. Okay. And then you're going to go 2.5 inches and then 3 inches. And then you're going to go 4.5 inches. Okay. And from here, you're going to flip it over. Okay, and then you're going to do 5 1/4. Okay, 5 1/4 is actually the halfway mark from this 10.5 inch box. Okay, now flip it back around. Now you're going to turn it this way, so you could just repeat what I just did up to the 4.5 inch mark. So you're going to go 1/2 inch. Oops, let's make sure it's straight. 1/2 inch. Then you're going to go 1 inch. 2.5 inches, 3 inches, and then 4.5 inches. Okay, and now you're going to turn this on the short side rather, and you're going to go 1/2 inch all the way down. Probably not on camera at the very end, but that's okay. Every time I try to get closer with this camera of mine, it seems to not want to, the autofocus doesn't want to work very well, and you get a lot of blurry pictures. Okay, so we're going 1/2 inch the other way. So each of these edges here have a 1/2 inch score mark here. Okay, all right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just very quickly fold a 1/2 inch off the end of this right here. Okay, just fold the 1/2 inch mark, and then you're going to put this back in your scoreboard, line it up here, and you're going to just make a tiny little tick mark at the 2 inch, okay, because that's the halfway mark, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. I'm going to do that on both sides, and it's basically just a little marker for me, so when I punch my little finger hole. Okay, so I've got the little 1/2 inch tick mark here. All right, now we are done with our scoreboard. Oops, sorry about banging it around. Now let's fold and burnish all of our score lines. Now, if you notice, when I flipped it over, I did that so that I could fold it this way at the halfway mark, and so that's what we are doing here. We're going to go ahead and burnish that down here. Okay. And then we're going to just go ahead and fold and burnish the rest of our score lines. And I'm going to do that with the bone folder. And fast forward through all of this boring folding. Okay, now that we have that done, I am going to go ahead and start cutting into this paper. And for that, I'm going to be using my paper snips. And the very first thing that I want to do is I want to get these two flaps in the middle out of my way. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to cut on either side, not the middle one, but the one on either side of the middle here. Okay, so if you're counting down, well, actually, if you kind of fold this in half, you can see it's the two flaps right by the middle fold that I'm cutting one side in here, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Now I want to kind of get them out of my way and fold them so that I'm not confused as to where I'm cutting. And these are going to fold in like this so that when I fold my box, I have some nice smooth edges here. Okay, so let's just get rid of this these little tabs here. You could tear them off, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut them flush so that it looks neat on the outside of the box. Now to hold these down, I'm going to just use a little bit of fast fuse on these two flaps here. And we're just going to fold these in like that. Okay, now here is something that you probably want to do beforehand if you choose to do so. Now I didn't do it. Now let me show you what I'm talking about. In my prototype, and I very rarely show a prototype, but I used the classic label punch to make my handle. Okay, and that's this punch here. And I wasn't really that crazy about how it looked with the classic label handle here. In my other project, I used the word window punch, and it kind of worked out really nice. But this classic label punch is really nice, but I decided just to go ahead and punch a couple of holes and put a ribbon on that. I thought that looked a little nicer. But like I say, you can do it either way. But this is the time to do that. If you're going to use your classic label punch, then what you're going to do is you're going to want to place it in here, and you're going to have to kind of squeeze it in there. And I would probably make a little template for myself to make sure that I've got it in the middle. And you make a template by punching a little piece of paper, gluing this where you want, and then punching exactly in the center of where you want it to be. Okay? But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and punch some holes, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I am going to start cutting into more of this box. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut on the corners these two squares. Okay, on every corner there's two squares that you're going to be cutting completely off. Okay, right there, and go this way here. Now I'm hoping that you could see well on this black paper as to what I'm doing here. Okay, so I have cut these two corners on each side of the paper. That's what I have done. Okay, so let's get rid of this. All right, and then I'm going to fold this in like that, and that little tick mark that I made with the, the scoreboard, that little tick mark, I'm going to take my 3/4 inch circle punch, and I'm just going to make those little finger tabs, or finger notches, I think you would call them, just a little bit. See how I'm doing that? Taking it like maybe a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch up, and trying to center that with my punch. Let's go ahead and punch it. Oh, that one landed right in my eye. Okay, so we're going to do the other side with that little notch here. Okay, and we're going to try to get it as even as we can. And punch. Okay, there we go. And now fold these flaps in, because what you want to do is you want to round these corners here just to make it look a little nicer. That's optional. Use your Project Life corner rounder punch, if you will. Just try to get it as neat as you can, just to round off those corners there. And I'll do the same on the other side, folding these flaps in and trying to just get this corner, just that little edge off the corner there. Okay, All right, now let's finish cutting up these score lines here. You're going to cut up on either side of these score lines here. Okay. And I'm just going to flip these down this way so that I can cut these little flaps off. I like to cut them off. You could just kind of tear them off if you want, or you could notch in. Okay, so this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. And like I said, I'll try to fast forward where I can. Okay, now that's all the cutting I'm going to do. Now the next thing I am going to do is I am going to bring in my DSP so that I can place my DSP on the two spots where it needs to be placed. Now if you've got a DSP where there's a design, you want to make sure, because the box is going to stand up this way, okay, you want to make sure that your pattern, like I have here in this pattern, is going up and down. Okay, now I'm going to just very temporarily adhere this DSP to the to my box here. Okay, and this should be sized perfectly for this here. Now I'm going to do that on both sides. I'm just going to take this DSP and very temporarily adhere it. Now the reason I'm going to temporarily adhere it is because I want to how should I put it? Well, how about if I just show you? I'm going to be using my layering ovals. All right. Oops. I've got these on little magnet sheets here. This little oval goes right in here. See the smallest oval here? And I want to use that smallest oval to make an oval here and here. And then I'm going to come back with this scalloped oval, the smallest one, to finish cutting the DSP. And that's so that I could have this little layered, this little frame of black. Let me show you how I did that. I'm going to now, I think maybe I will bring in my Big Shot. Since I don't have my grid paper to slip around, I'll bring my Big Shot in. Okay. I hope that you can see it without too much glare. Okay, I've got my magnetic platform here, and I'm going to put down my very well-loved cutting plate. I'm going to try to center this in the middle the best I can. Okay, and it helps to have that little circle right there, that little notch that I made, that finger notch, so that I could see where the center is on this. So again, it jumped. Okay, so let's use some removable adhesive. Okay, all right, here we go. There's some removable adhesive. I always have some close by for this, and now I'm going to just go ahead and run that through my die cutting machine. Oop, and my handle just fell off. It's time for me to fix my handle. It always falls off on camera. And this, like I say, this is an older machine. I'm seriously thinking about getting the one that Stampin' Up sells. It's the exact same machine actually, but you know, I just want a newer one. That's just me. I'm spoiled that way. Okay, and the only reason I haven't bought a newer one is because there's so many other things I want from the Stampin' Up catalog. I am like a kid in a candy shop when it comes to Stampin' Up products. I love just about everything that they make. And I love the quality too. Quality is just, you know, it really does mean a lot. Okay, now I'm doing the other side. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this DSP, okay, and I am going to take it and see this this little scalloped oval. Now this is the smallest one, like I said. I'm going to try to make it right in the center here, so we have a nice even frame with that the black is going to show through. And I'm going to put a piece of removable tape. I'm going to put that through. Okay. All right. Now very gently take the tape off. And so now if you notice, when you put this back on here, you'll have a nice black frame. I think it might go better this way. So I'm going to adhere that, and you're going to see that there's a nice black frame all the way around it without me having to make the frame. Isn't that cool? Okay, so we're going to do the same with this one. I'll try to fast forward so I don't bore you. I did pick up a little bit of that DSP with my tape, so you have to be really careful. Make sure you're using removable tape and kind of like make it unsticky. All right, but we're still going to use that piece. I'm okay with that since it's just a sample. All right, let me get rid of this machine here. We are going to be adhering this now to our paper here, and what I'm looking for right now is my silicone craft sheet. Now, I poked a little hole here in my silicone craft sheet, if you see that. The reason I did is I have a pegboard in front of me right here, okay? There's like, I reach for things. This is my little work area and film area. But this I hang so that it's always available. And I forgot to hang it back, so that's why I couldn't find it. So always put your tools back where they belong and you'll be okay. All right, now we're going to take this and we are going to use some SNAIL adhesive and, oh, wrong way, SNAIL adhesive, and we're going to just adhere these pieces on here and make sure that you've got a nice little frame around it. Now, don't press down until you've got it, in a good position here. And I think what I did was I flipped it. Yeah, you got to make sure that you're using the right side here. There it goes. You see that nice little frame here? So I'm going to put the adhesive on the other part of this DSP on the other side, and we are going to go ahead and adhere it to the front right here. Oops, there's a little bit of fuzzies from the paper. My papers sometimes have fuzzies on them from my cutter because I need to change my blade, and I will be doing that as soon as my new blades come in. Okay, so there we go. We've got two sides done, and I think I'm going to make this the front since this paper just shredded just a little bit here. You can almost not tell since it's mostly white. Now let's put some window sheet on here, and I've got two pieces of window sheet, one for the back and the front, and I'm going to be using some mini glue dots to put on there, and I will use my, if I could find it, because I don't think I put it away, but maybe I did. Oh yes, I did. It's right here, my paper piercing tool. Okay, so I'm going to use the paper piercing tool to pick up. Now, I don't know if you can see the window sheet. I'm going to just put a little mini glue dot on every corner of this window sheet. I'm missing some right here, and I'm going to go ahead and put this window sheet on the inside. Let me move this out of the way. I'm putting it on the inside here so we could have that peekaboo window. And here now we've got a little window here. I'll do the same on the other piece of window sheet. And there we go. Now we can put some tear and tape right here. I'm going to put some tear and tape so that we could fold this nice and neatly. Let's see how we're going to do this. it's going to go like this. I got to just make sure where I'm putting my tear and tape. So we're going to put tear and tape right here and right here. Right here and right there. So I'm going to take a piece of tear and tape. I tore a piece off. I'm trying to tear it. Okay. And we'll just go ahead and stick a piece of that extra piece there. And then we're going to put another piece of tear and tape right here. Okay. And let's take this tear and tape off here. I'm trying to make sure I'm on camera still. All right, we're taking that tear and tape off here and here. Now you notice I put it close to that score line right here. Okay, so now we can fold this box like this. Now you got to make sure that these two edges are perfectly together, like that. Okay, and we are folding the box. Okay, now we can finish putting the rest of this box together. What I'm going to do is from the inside of the box, I'm going to just put some, not fast fuse, SNAIL. I'm going to use fast fuse. So I'm going to bring back my craft sheet in. And I use my craft sheet so that I don't get glue all over my work surface. Okay, so I'm going to put fast fuse right here on each one of these flaps on the inside. Okay, now we're going to be folding these little flaps. We're folding them in, and we are going to take this and fold right here. Okay, that's one. And fold that flap in. Fold this flap in right here, and this flap is going to go over that flap right there. Okay, see how that's going to come, and we're folding that down like that. Okay, so fold these two little flaps in the middle, bring this up, make sure you've got these two flaps overlapping like that. Try to make it as straight as possible. On this side, fold that one flap in, and there you have it. And then you're going to be folding this here like that. Okay, very good. All right, now you can fill your Hershey Nuggets in. Now I've shown you probably before, if you saw that other video, how to wrap the Hershey Nuggets. What I did was I took a piece of designer series paper, and in this case I'm using the opposite side of this paper here. Okay, oh, I want to get that little hair piece out of there. Okay, so what I've done is I put a little piece of tear and tape on one end, and you see how the design that I used was the opposite side of that paper. I am going to just line this up, take the tear and tape off. You can do this now or do it right before you tape it down, but I want to make sure that it's nice and straight. And you want to kind of do these tight so that they don't slip around when you end up putting them in here. So let's go ahead and load these up. I'm going to put 1, 3 will fit perfectly on each side. Okay, like that. And we're going to put the other 3. Oh, you got to open that up first. Put the other 3 on this side. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, and now let's close this up. I'm going to be putting that flap right behind those Hershey Nuggets like that. Okay, and it does make it bulge just a little bit, but that's okay. It doesn't look too bad. All right, now let's put some ribbon on here to make it look pretty. Now I have this beautiful ribbon. It's called the Smoky Slate. I believe it's the oh, what size is it? I think it's a 1/4 inch. Oh, it'll tell me as soon as I find the language. It's an 1/8 inch width. Okay, 1/8 inch width. So with this 1/8 inch width, I am going to go ahead and use the 1/4 inch hole punch. And since I have punched these little finger notches here, that's kind of going to give me a guide to where to punch my holes. I'm going to do one on one side. You see how I'm doing that? One on one side and one on the other side. Okay, and that kind of centers it pretty good. Okay, my hole punch. Time for a new hole punch. And by the way, today is the 19th or the 20th. I think, I forget what day it is today. But anyway, Stampin' Up! Has some products in their clearance rack, and the 1/4 inch hole punch is one of them. So I may go ahead and pick up a 1/4 inch hole punch, because this is an older one that I did not get from Stampin' Up! And I've used it for several years, so it's kind of getting dull. So it's time for a new hole punch, and I think I might take advantage of that. Now I am going to go ahead and feed this in here and cut off a length so that I can make myself a bow. I would say probably about maybe 12, 14 inches of, maybe even 16 inches. Now I've determined that this is the front right here. So I'm making my bow on the front side, but I'm making it, I kind of like to work behind the bow so that I can have a little bit more control of the bow. And that's why. Now let's shorten these little loops a little bit more. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use some sharper scissors to cut this one way and the other. And of course you can put some more decorations on here, like flowers and, you know, and little butterflies, maybe, whatever you like. And of course you can make these for any occasion just by using different designer series paper. So I hope that you try this. If you need any of the tools and supplies that I used in this video, please go to my website at www.geamazingpapercrafts.stampinup.net, and I'd be happy to be your demonstrator if you don't already have one. So once again, I'm Jeanette with Geamazing Paper Crafts, and you make it a great day. Bye-bye.